metallic gleam of Valora Nith's spacecraft pierced through Earth's atmosphere, leaving a trail of iridescent particles in its wake. As the chief medical officer of the Austrian Confederation, she had visited countless planets, but Earth, with its primitive technology and backward medical practices, was a mission she had dreaded. Atmospheric conversion complete. Oxygen levels compatible, announced the ship's AI as Valora gazed down at the sprawling landscape of the human settlement below. Montana, they called it, a remote outpost where a mysterious illness was decimating the population, an illness that had piqued the interest of the Confederation's Scientific Council. Her violet eyes, with their distinctive silver flecks, narrowed as she recalled her briefing. Humans, stubborn, emotional, and woefully unadvanced. Yet somehow they'd survived countless calamities that should have extinguished their species. The Confederation needed to understand why. Landing protocols engaged, Medical Officer Neith, the AI continued. Local authorities have been notified of your arrival. Valora's translucent fingers with their 12 articulated joints danced across the control panel. Engage biological camouflage. Adjust epidermal tone to human baseline. Conceal respiratory gill slits. As her ship touched down, she felt the familiar discomfort of her body reconfiguring. Features shifting, her natural blue-tinged skin warming to a more human tone. The pain was minimal compared to what awaited her. Weeks of interaction with humans. Dr. Cove Elian waited at the designated landing zone, standing solitary against the backdrop of snow-capped mountains. Unlike his colleagues who had fled upon learning of the alien visitor, Cove remained, his weathered face a map of determination. The mysterious illness had already claimed 17 lives in his small town of Meridian Pass, including his younger brother. When the strange craft's door slid open, he steeled himself. The figure that emerged was nearly human, tall, elegant, with features almost too perfect. Only the unnaturally fluid movement and eyes that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light betrayed her alien nature. Dr. Elian, Valora stated, her voice carrying an ethereal quality despite the translation module's best efforts. I am Healer Ninth of the Austrian Confederation. I have been dispatched to study and contain your outbreak. Cove stood his ground, his calloused hand extending in a gesture his visitor clearly found distasteful. We appreciate the help, though some folks around here might not show it. We've lost too many already. Your gratitude is unnecessary. This is a scientific expedition, she replied coolly. I require access to your medical facilities and the infected patients immediately. He withdrew his unshaken hand, a flicker of annoyance crossing his face. Our medical facilities are a 6-room clinic with equipment you'd probably consider ancient, and the patients aren't specimens, they're people, scared people. Valora tilted her head, studying him with clinical detachment. Fear is irrelevant to healing. Please convey to your people that resistance to my methods will only prolong their suffering. That's not how we do things here, Cove said firmly. You want to help? You'll need to earn their trust first. As they walked toward his rusted vehicle, Valora felt a strange sensation, the first hint of doubt. On 27 worlds, she had been welcomed as a savior. Here, in this backward settlement, with this stubborn human, something told her this mission would be unlike any other. What she didn't know was that the illness sweeping through Meridian Pass would be the least of the challenges awaiting her on Earth. The Meridian Pass clinic was exactly as primitive as Valora had anticipated. Perhaps worse. Outdated diagnostic equipment, paper charts, and the sharp tang of chemical disinfectants assaulted her enhanced senses. 7 more cases yesterday, Cove explained, leading her through narrow corridors where patients lay in varying states of distress. Starts with neurological symptoms, tremors, hypersensitivity to light, then respiratory failure within days. Valora activated her retinal scanners, cataloging symptoms without touching the patients. Your treatment protocol? Oxygen, support, antivirals, anti-inflammatories, nothing's working. Frustration edged his voice. We've sent samples to the CDC, but they're overwhelmed with outbreaks across the western states. She removed a crystalline device from her med kit. This will extract cellular data without contamination. A young woman, Maris Vanderhall according to her chart, lay shivering despite the thermal blankets covering her. When Vylora approached with the device, Maris recoiled, eyes wide with terror. "Don't let it touch me," she gasped between labored breaths. "I am a healer," Vylora stated, continuing her approach. "This procedure is painless." Cove stepped between them. "Stop," she said. "No." Vylora blinked, her silver-flecked eyes registering confusion. "The patient is irrational. Her consent is compromised by illness." "That's not how we practice medicine here," Cove said firmly. "Consent isn't optional even, especially when someone's scared. Your ethical constraints are inhibiting effective treatment," she countered. "Our ethical constraints are what make us human," he shot back. The standoff lasted several seconds before Vylora reluctantly stowed her device. "Your methods ensure a higher mortality rate." "Maybe, but they also ensure we keep our humanity." He turned to Maris, his voice softening. "We'll try something else, okay? Something you're comfortable with." Later, as they examined blood samples in the clinic's modest laboratory, Vylora observed Cove with growing curiosity. Despite inadequate equipment and knowledge, his dedication never wavered. "Your pathogens adapt rapidly," she noted, studying the microscopic images. "This suggests engineered origins." Cove looked up sharply. "You think this was created deliberately?" "The cellular markers are consistent with bioengineering, though primitive by Confederation standards." She hesitated. "It resembles Proxian warfare agents from the Third Galactic Conflict." "You're saying this is an alien bioweapon? On Earth?" His knuckles whitened as he gripped the lab counter. "Unlikely intentional deployment. More probable, contamination from salvaged space debris." She continued scanning. "Your species has been collecting fallen technology without understanding the dangers." A nurse, Paulina Davis, who had been assisting them, burst into the lab. "Dr. Elian, Maris has gone into respiratory failure." They rushed to the patient's room where Maris convulsed violently, her lips blue. Without hesitation, Cove began intubation. "Procedures. Your methods are insufficient," Vylora stated, pulling out a silver instrument. "This will stabilize her neural pathways." "We don't know what that thing does," Paulina protested. "It will save her life," Vylora insisted. "Your options are exhausted." Cove, hand steady despite the crisis, met her gaze. "If you're wrong, she dies. If you continue, she dies regardless," Vylora countered. In the moment of indecision, Maris's vitals plummeted. Cove stepped back. "Do it." The device emitted a soft purple glow as Vylora placed it against Maris's temple. Within seconds, the convulsion subsided and her oxygen levels stabilized. As the crisis passed, Vylora felt Cove's evaluating gaze. "Thank you," he said simply. "Gratitude is unnecessary. I merely saved her life," he finished. "Where I come from, that deserves thanks." For the first time since her arrival, Vylora felt something unfamiliar, a warmth that had nothing to do with her biological camouflage. But as she recorded the incident in her mission log that night, she classified it as merely an anomalous response to the planet's atmospheric composition. She was mistaken. Dawn broke over Meridian Pass, painting the snow-capped mountains with amber light. Vylora had not slept. Instead, she'd spent the night analyzing cellular samples, piecing together the pathogen's genetic structure. What she discovered troubled her deeply. "You look like you've seen a ghost," Cove remarked, entering the lab with 2 steaming cups. He offered her one. "Coffee. Though I'm not sure if your species—" To his surprise, she accepted the cup, her 12-jointed fingers wrapping around it delicately. "My analysis confirms my suspicions. This pathogen bears Proxian biomarkers, but with human genetic modifications." Cove set his cup down, coffee forgotten. Are you saying humans engineered this? Not knowingly. She projected holographic gene sequences from her wrist device. Someone on your planet discovered Proxian debris and attempted to weaponize the pathogens without understanding their extraterrestrial nature. Who would? An explosion rocked the clinic, shattering windows and sending equipment crashing to the floor. Cove instinctively shielded Vylora, though her species was significantly more durable than his own. We need to evacuate the patients, he said, already moving toward the door. Through the smoke and confusion, they worked side by side, moving the ill to safety. Vylora noticed how Cove prioritized the most vulnerable, ignoring his own injuries, a deep gash on his forearm that left a trail of blood behind him. Once the patients were secure in an adjacent building, Vylora examined his wound. This requires immediate attention. The patients are stable, she finished. You are not. As she dressed his wound with a regenerative compound from her medkit, Cove studied her face. You didn't have to come back for me, you know. In the East Wing. She kept her eyes on her work. You were attempting to retrieve patient data. The information is essential. Right. The data. A hint of a smile played at his lips. Had nothing to do with the human inside, I suppose. Before she could respond, her communication device chimed urgently. The holographic face of Commandant Rylick appeared, stern, with characteristic Astrian symmetrical scarification patterns. Medical Officer Neith, report, the Commandant demanded. The pathogen is Proxian, in origin, but has been modified with human genetic markers, she explained. I believe it was engineered from salvaged. We are aware, Rylick interrupted. Intelligence has located the source. A human military installation 50 kilometers from your position. Extraction team deployed. Your mission parameters have changed. Cove tensed beside her. What does that mean? Rylick's cold gaze shifted to him. It means, human, that this is no longer a medical mission but a containment operation. All infected subjects will be quarantined off-planet. That's over. 30 people, Cove protested. You can't just take them. Officer Nith, prepare the subjects for transport. Confederation vessels will arrive within 6 hours. After the communication ended, Cove turned to Vylora, betrayal etched across his features. This was your plan all along? To abduct the sick? No, she said, the word emerging more forcefully than intended. My mission was to heal. I was not informed of contingency protocols. But you'll follow orders, won't you? He challenged. Take these people away from their homes, their families, for what? Experiments? The accusation stung with unexpected intensity. The Confederation does not conduct unethical experimentation. Abducting the sick without consent seems pretty unethical to me, he countered. Vylora felt an unfamiliar sensation. Conflict between her duty and something else. Something new that had taken root during her days on Earth. The alternative is planetary. Quarantine. If this pathogen spreads beyond Meridian Pass, the Confederation will isolate Earth entirely. There has to be another way. Cove's eyes held hers, unwavering. You're a healer, Vylora, not a soldier, not a jailer. The use of her name, so informal, so human, created a resonance within her that defied Astrian emotional protocols. For the first time in her centuries-long existence, Vylora Neith considered defying direct orders. I need to examine the original source, she said finally. The military installation. If I can understand how they modified the Proxian pathogen, I might be able to engineer a cure here, without off-world quarantine. Hope flickered across Cove's face. You'd do that? It would contradict my orders, she acknowledged, but it would fulfill my oath as a healer. As they prepared to leave for the military facility, Vylora realized something had fundamentally changed. She had come to Earth to heal humans, but something distinctly human was now growing within her, a capacity for choice that transcended duty. And it terrified her. The military installation, officially designated as Black Ridge Research Facility, loomed before them, a concrete monolith nestled against jagged mountain terrain. Security cameras tracked their approach as Cove's vehicle kicked up dust along the access road. "They're not going to just let us walk in," Cove warned, eyeing the armed guards at the checkpoint ahead. Valora adjusted her camouflage settings, enhancing her human appearance. "Your military authorities were notified of my arrival on Earth. I will invoke interplanetary cooperation protocols." "Yeah, about that." Cove gripped the steering wheel tighter. "Our government might have agreed to your presence, but I doubt they shared that information with everyone, especially not black site research facilities." As they pulled up to the checkpoint, a guard approached, hand resting on his holstered weapon. "Restricted area, turn around immediately." Valora exited the vehicle despite Cove's warning glance. "I am Healer Nith of the Austrian Confederation, here under Article 7 of the Preliminary Contact Agreement. We require access to your biomedical research division." The guard's expression changed from suspicion to alarm. He raised his weapon. "Ma'am, return to your vehicle now." "This is unnecessary," Valora continued, raising her hand to reveal her identification crystal. "Your superiors are aware." The crack of gunfire split the air. Valora felt the impact. As the bullet struck her shoulder, her camouflage systems flickering momentarily to reveal her true form before stabilizing. What happened next occurred too quickly for human perception. Valora moved with preternatural speed, disarming the guard, and accessing the security panel with her override codes. Alarms blared as the gates opened. "Drive," she commanded, returning to the vehicle where Cove sat wide-eyed. "You're hit," he said, staring at the blue-tinged fluid seeping through her clothing. "Superficial damage. Drive now, before reinforcements arrive." They sped through the compound as security personnel scrambled to respond to the breach. Valora directed Cove to a nondescript building on the eastern perimeter. "The pathogen signature emanates from this structure," she explained, her bioscanners analyzing the facility. "Level 3, southeast quadrant." Inside, they navigated sterile corridors, Valora's technology disabling security systems as they progressed. When they reached the laboratory, what they found confirmed her worst fears. Proxian artifacts, remnants of a scout ship that had crashed decades earlier, were being systematically dismantled and studied. Isolation chambers contained variants of the pathogen in various stages of modification. "They've been weaponizing it," Cove realized, horror dawning on his face as he examined research logs. "Project Chimera, designed to target specific genetic markers." "Not just any genetic markers," Valora said grimly, scanning the data. "These are Astrian sequences." Cove looked up sharply. "They were creating a bioweapon against your people? Why?" "Fear. Preparation." She moved through the lab, collecting samples and data. "Your species has long anticipated contact with advanced civilizations. Some factions prepare for cooperation, others for conflict." A security breach alarm echoed through the facility. On the surveillance monitors, they could see armed teams converging on their location. "We have 5 minutes before they reach this level," Valora calculated, working rapidly to download research data. "And then what? They're not going to let us walk out with classified bioweapon research." She met his gaze steadily. "No, they will not." Understanding dawned on his face. "Your people, the extraction team, they're not just coming for the sick, are they? Standard Confederation protocol for discovery of directed weapons development is facility sterilization," she confirmed. "This entire complex will be neutralized." "There are hundreds of people here," Cove protested. "Scientists, security, support staff, most of them probably have no idea what's really happening." Valora continued her work, her expression unreadable. "Containment of existential threats takes precedence over individual preservation." "That's not healing," Cove said quietly. "That's extermination." His words struck her with unexpected force. Throughout her centuries of service, Valora had never questioned Confederation protocols. Yet now, looking at this human whose capacity for compassion persisted even in the face of his own species' wrongdoing, she felt the foundations of her certainty crumble. "What would you suggest?" she asked, genuinely uncertain. "We take what we need to create a cure, Warn everyone to evacuate and destroy only the research, he said without hesitation. No one else needs to die. The facility's PA system crackled. To life. Intruders located in Sector 7. All security personnel converge. Authorization to use lethal force granted. Time was running out. Valora made her decision. Help me collect these samples, she instructed, her fingers flying across the laboratory equipment, and activate that emergency alarm. As Cove triggered the facility's evacuation alert, Valora contacted her ship. Override Command Protocol Epsilon 3. Redirect extraction team to these coordinates. Target modification. Research materials only. Civilian evacuation in progress. On her communication device, Commandant Rylick's face appeared, livid. Medical Officer Nith, you are exceeding your authority. Stand down immediately. I am fulfilling my primary directive as a healer, she replied calmly. The target has been identified. The pathogen can be neutralized without loss of life. This is direct insubordination. Your commission will be... She terminated the communication. Turning to Cove, who stared at her with newfound respect, she said simply, We have 14 minutes to evacuate. I suggest we hurry. As they fled the facility, alarms blaring, personnel streaming toward emergency exits, Cove asked the question that hung between them. What happens now? Now, Valora replied. We heal. 48 hours after the Blackridge incident, Valora worked tirelessly in the makeshift laboratory they'd established in an abandoned ranger station outside Meridian Pass. Military and federal authorities had cordoned off the town, but their attention remained focused on the research facility, now a smoldering crater after the Confederation's precision strike. Your superiors aren't happy, I take it, Cove remarked, observing Valora's tense posture as she manipulated genetic sequences through her holographic interface. My commission has been suspended, she confirmed without looking up. Once my work here is complete, I face disciplinary proceedings. Cove handed her a sample slide. For saving lives? For defying orders? For revealing Confederation intentions to a non-aligned species? For... She hesitated. Emotional compromise. The accusation had come directly from Commandant Rylick. Your judgment has been clouded by proximity to humans, particularly the medical practitioner Elian. This represents a dangerous compromise of Astrian objectivity. What troubled Valora most was not the accusation itself, but her inability to refute it. I think it's working, Cove said, examining cellular responses under a microscope. The retroviral treatment they'd developed was showing promising results in lab samples. The pathogen is breaking down. Valora verified his observation. We need to synthesize enough for all patients immediately. As they worked through the night, Valora became increasingly aware of physiological changes within herself. Her respiratory rate had altered to match Cove's. Her circadian rhythms had synchronized with Earth's rotation rather than maintaining Astrian standards. Most disturbing, her emotional suppression protocols were failing. She felt things now, concern for the patients, anger at the military's reckless experimentation, and something more complex regarding Cove himself. By dawn, they had produced enough of the treatment for all infected patients. As they administered it to the first critical cases, the results were immediate and remarkable. Neural symptoms receded within hours. Respiratory function improved by the second day. You did it, Cove said with undisguised admiration as they monitored Maris Vanderhall, now conscious and recovering. You found a cure where everyone else failed. We did it, Valora corrected. Without your knowledge of human physiology, the treatment would have been too aggressive. Their success spread rapidly. By the third day, federal authorities requested the treatment protocol for other outbreak sites across the western states. Valora provided it, knowing it would further antagonize the Confederation, which preferred to limit human access to advanced medical technology. On the evening of the fifth day, as the last patients showed clear signs of recovery, Valora received the message she had been dreading. Extraction vessel dispatched. Return to Confederation space mandatory. Arrival, 0600 hours. Cove found her standing alone outside the clinic, her gaze fixed on the stars. Without her conscious direction, her camouflage had partially deactivated, revealing hints of her true form, the luminescent patterns across her skin, the faint glow of her eyes. "You're leaving," he said. "Not a question. I must. The Confederation does not permit prolonged integration with developing species, even when that integration saves lives." She turned to face him fully, allowing him to see her as she truly was. "Especially then. Attachment is considered dangerous to both species." "Attachment," he repeated, stepping closer. "Is that what this is?" The proximity triggered cascades of neurochemical responses that her training had never prepared her for. "I am experiencing irregularities in my physiological systems." A smile touched his lips. "We have a simpler word for that on Earth. Your linguistic approximations cannot capture Astrian experiences," she countered, though without conviction. "Maybe not," he acknowledged, "but I think some experiences transcend species. Caring, connection." He hesitated. Reluctance to say goodbye. Valora had encountered countless species across the galaxy, had witnessed phenomena beyond human comprehension. Yet nothing had prepared her for the simple complexity of this moment, standing beneath alien stars with a being whose existence was, by cosmic standards, fleeting. "I have lived 4 of your centuries," she said softly. "I have never deviated from my purpose, never questioned my place within the order of things." "Until now?" he asked. "Until Earth. Until—" The word remained unspoken between them. The silence that followed contained multitudes, possibility and impossibility, cosmic order and beautiful chaos. "What will they do to you?" he finally asked. "Re-education, emotional recalibration, assignment to non-contact zones for several decades." She spoke matter-of-factly, though the prospect now filled her with a distinctly human emotion. Dread. And, "If you didn't go back?" The question hung in the air, dangerous and exhilarating. Defection was unprecedented in Astrian society. "I would be—" She searched for the word. "Adrift. Without access to Confederation resources, my biological systems would eventually deteriorate. My lifespan would reduce significantly." "To what? A mere century or 2? His attempt at humor couldn't mask his concern. "Approximately. A blink in cosmic terms." He took her hand, her true hand, with its 12 articulated joints and luminescent patterns. "Some blinks contain universes, Valora." As dawn approached, bringing with it the imminent arrival of the extraction vessel, Valora Ninth faced the most profound choice of her long existence. Return to the certainty of the Confederation, to duty and purpose and endless days of carefully regulated existence, or remain on this chaotic, beautiful, terrifying planet, with its brief, bright lives and its capacity for change. She had come to heal the sick. She had not expected Earth to heal something within her. The extraction vessel appeared in Earth's atmosphere precisely on schedule, a gleaming apparition against the morning sky. Valora stood at the designated retrieval point, a clearing 2 kilometers from the clinic. Her posture perfect, her expression composed. The perfect Astraean officer, ready to accept the consequences of her actions. Except for one detail. She had disabled her locator beacon. The vessel hovered, scanning. Unable to detect her unique signature, it moved in widening circles following standard retrieval protocols for officers in distress. From the shelter of the tree line, Cove watched with trepidation. "Will they send ground teams?" "Not immediately," Valora replied. "The Confederation avoids direct contact with developing worlds whenever possible. They will attempt remote activation of emergency protocols first." As if on cue, her communication device activated without her input. Commandant Rillick's voice cut through the morning stillness. "Medical Officer Neith, your beacon is non-responsive. Activate emergency protocols immediately." Valora remained silent. "Officer Neith, this is a direct order. Respond or face maximum censure." Still, she did not speak. After 3 unsuccessful attempts, the communication shifted to automated mode. Emergency extraction canceled. Officer status compromised. Implementing Directive Omega-7. Cove tensed beside her. What's Directive Omega-7? Quarantine protocol, she explained, watching as the vessel ascended rapidly. The Confederation now considers me contaminated by Earth influence. They will establish a monitoring perimeter in orbit but will not attempt direct retrieval. So, you're free? The word resonated strangely. In her centuries of existence, Valora had never considered herself unfree. Duty, purpose, service. These had been the foundations of her identity. Yet now, standing on alien soil with her connection to the Confederation severed, she experienced something entirely new, possibility. I am undefined, she answered carefully. Back at the clinic, news of Valora's decision spread quickly. For some, like Maris Vanderhall and the other recovered patients, she was a hero, a celestial being who had chosen humanity over her own kind. For others, particularly the military and intelligence personnel who had descended upon Meridian Pass, she represented something more concerning. An extraterrestrial entity with advanced knowledge, now beyond the control of either Earth authorities or her own people. They want to debrief you, Cove informed her after meeting with government officials. Extensively. They wish to extract Confederation technology and intelligence, she corrected. I anticipated this. What will you tell them? She considered the question carefully. Enough to protect Earth from immediate threats. Nothing that would advance weapons technology or interstellar capabilities. A fine line to walk. One I must walk alone, she said, her voice softening. Cove, you have already risked much by assisting me. The authorities will scrutinize anyone associated with me. He took her hand, a gesture that no longer felt alien to either of them. I'm a doctor in a town that just survived a pandemic. Being scrutinized is the least of my worries. Over the following weeks, as government debriefings continued and the world beyond Meridian Pass remained oblivious to the cosmic drama that had unfolded in their midst, Valora began to experience the full implications of her choice. Her biological systems, designed for regeneration through Confederation medical technologies, began showing subtle signs of adaptation to Earth's environment. Her natural luminescence dimmed slightly. Her cellular structure became more rigid. She was becoming more solid, more present, more mortal. Simultaneously, her emotional capacity expanded in ways both wondrous and terrifying. Joy, sorrow, anger, fear, emotions that Astrian conditioning had muted to mere wisps, now flooded her consciousness with overwhelming intensity. It's called being human, Paulina Davis told her one evening as they sat outside the clinic, watching the sunset paint the mountains in hues Valora could now appreciate, in ways her clinical Astrian mind never could. But I am not human, Valora reminded her. Paulina smiled. Neither are any of us, really. We're all just figuring it out as we go. 6 months after her arrival on Earth, Valora received a final communication from the Confederation. Not from Commandant Rylek, but from the High Council itself. Former Medical Officer Nith. Your defection has been recorded. Your knowledge has been classified as compromised. Earth remains a non-intervention zone due to your presence. No further contact will be initiated. You are released from all Confederation obligations. The message should have brought finality, perhaps even grief. Instead, Valora felt an unexpected lightness. The weight of 4 centuries of duty lifted from her shoulders. That evening, she found Cove at their favorite spot overlooking the valley, the lights of Meridian Pass twinkling below like earthbound. Stars, it's official, she told him. I am no longer Astrian in any way that matters to them. And in ways that matter to you? He asked. She considered this, feeling the cool Montana breeze against her skin that now contained more human cells than it had months ago. Her body slowly rewriting itself to belong to this world. I was created to heal, she said finally. That purpose remains unchanged, But now I understand something my people have forgotten over millennia of advancement. Healing is not merely about physical correction. It is about connection. Cove's hand found hers in the gathering darkness. So what now, Healer Neath? The world's a big place. She looked up at the stars, her former home now just points of light in an alien sky. Then she looked at their intertwined hands, one with 5 fingers, one with 12, both equally capable of healing, of holding, of finding each other across the void. Now, she said with newfound certainty, we continue what we started, together. In the years that followed, a peculiar medical team gained quiet fame throughout the region. A brilliant local doctor and his extraordinary partner whose treatments sometimes bordered on miraculous. They never sought recognition, never published their methods, but stories spread of the woman with strange eyes who could heal ailments others couldn't even diagnose. Some said she was an angel. Others, a government experiment. A few, those who had been in Meridian Pass during the outbreak, knew fragments of the truth. But only Cove Alien knew the whole of it. How a being who had lived among the stars had given up eternity for a single human lifetime. How she had come to heal the sick, but in doing so, had discovered the one ailment she had never recognized in herself: loneliness. And how, against all cosmic probability, she had found its cure in the most unlikely place imaginable: the heart of a human who had taught her that some connections transcend the boundaries of worlds, of species, of time itself. On clear nights, they would sometimes watch Confederation vessels passing overhead, distant, luminous reminders of the life she had left behind. But Valora Nith, once the pride of the Astrian Medical Corps, never regretted her choice. She had come to heal. She had stayed to live. And in that choice, both she and humanity had been irreversibly transformed.